So, I bet you know the name of that one. It's the Bach Toccata Fugue in D minor. And it's probably the most well-known of all Bach organ works. It's often played at our Halloween concert, and hopefully we'll be able to have that this year. And it's interesting, though, because actually Bach didn't write it for Halloween. He wrote it to explore the different colors of the organ and the way the room works. If we go over to the chapel, you'll notice it's a huge space, and there is lots of opportunities to have sound continuing after the notes are left. It's not quite the same on the piano, because pretty much when you leave the notes, the sound goes away unless you have the damper pedal. But on the organ, those sounds of the pipes will linger on. So I'm hoping that you're enjoying your musette and you're getting excited about possibly going over to the chapel, and you're working hard at it. I'm sure you're warming up each day with the activities that I did in the first video, which was as well as all the scales and arpeggios. Another thing that pianists like to use for warm-ups is exercises. And this exercise that we have this week by Hannon, number 2, is fun to get an idea. The nice thing about it is once you've figured out the first measure, you can do the whole piece because it's exactly the same idea. So we have a third in one position, a third. You notice it's always 5 and 3 in the left hand and 1 and 2 in the right. So that pattern continues. And what you can practice when you do this exercise is how the wrist follows. Another thing you can do is try like right hand staccato. Or left hand staccato. And maybe you want to play them legato and try to get louder at the top. So. One of my favorite activities with these is to start and just focus on using your fingers. So your first couple will be just the fingers, and then you'll notice I'm going to add the wrist, then I'll add the arms, and then I'll really be playing with whole body. So. You can almost hear the difference, right? When I'm shifting gears from the fingers to the wrist, to the arms, to the back. In addition, you need to practice the scales. You'll notice next week that you have the A flat major scale. Now there's an interesting issue that occurs with this one. Whenever you're playing the 4th finger of the right hand, the left hand has a 2. 4th finger of the left hand, right hand has a 2. So the 4 and 2s are their opposite ones. Just a little bit harder of a scale, so you'll have to practice slowly. But if you stop when you play a 2nd finger or a 4th finger, you'll notice that they're opposite to each other. You should also work on the A flat minor, the G sharp harmonic minor, which is below it. Work on those fingerings as well. If you look at page 155, you see that this week we have Take Me Out to the Ball Game. What you're going to do is to play the melody. The left hand will not play what's on the page. Instead, it will play like we've been doing. Now the first thing I want you to do is to go through the music and scratch out whatever comes after the slash. So where you see in the second measure C/G, take away the G. The third measure, you'll have G7, take away the D. Because I want you to more think about of how it will be when you have to harmonize these for the proficiency. So you'll have C major, the normal G7 that we play 5, back to the 1 and stay there, and then back to the G7. Now on the measure 9, you see A7. Remember, when we have secondary dominance, we look to the chord that follows, which is D. We go to D position, think 1, 4, 1, 5 of 1. So instead of playing A, C sharp, G, you look at the D minor and you play the 5 of that key. So measure 9 becomes now we see something 7, so that's our Q. Okay, look to the next chord, G, 5, 7 of G. Now there we could go D7, a regular G, and go down to G7 to get back to C. So D major, getting to G, normal G, now to G7 to get back to C. So we have F sharp diminished. So put your hand on F sharp. We know they're minor thirds. So F sharp, AC. Now A7 goes to D, 5 of D. This time it's major, down to the C. And just to be sure that you understood, I'll do it once close up. The last line could be already have the literature from last week, how to practice it. All right, so you already have the literature information on how to practice it from our video from last week. Go back and refer to it. Say hi to Huey. And we'll see you next week. Bye.